Breaking news! The New York Mets continue to sign every free agent imaginable. Who's next? Javier Baez, Todd Frazier maybe, as they pay Max Scherzer a full raise payroll. AAV. We have Marcus Semien. Second place news somehow. It tells you about the magnitude. Byron Buxton and so much more. Stay tuned. Leave a like if you guys enjoy. Let's get it going. So the big development last night was that Max Scherzer at first was looking to go to the Dodgers. The Mets were pessimistic, and then it turned within like an hour. John Heyman tweets bombarded us in swaying us that the Mets are going to be the favorite, and wouldn't you know it, this morning, Max Scherzer officially signs 3 years, $130 million. Approximate, I believe, 43 AAV across these 3 years with an opt-out after the second. But, I mean, you know, why even tweet that? Why type those extra characters, Jeff? You think 50-year-old Max Scherzer is going to turn down $43 million? Seems far-fetched. Seems unlikely. This is a great deal for the Mets, who have already had a big offseason, you know, signing Eduardo Escobar, signing Starling Marte, signing Mark Canha. Max Scherzer, as if I need to tell you, is still good. Still Cy Young caliber. He finished third in Cy Young voting, but just as well easily could have been right up there amongst the winners. He had a great season across Washington and Los Angeles, finishing with the 5.2 WAR on the year. The lowest whip in the National League at 0.86. He was tremendous. ERA plus at 166. He definitely hit another notch when he went to LA. I think it rebirthed him. You know, shit, this is what it feels like to win. Well, ironic considering the Nationals and himself won a championship in 2019, but you get what I mean. The Nationals weren't good in the year 2021, so it rejuvenated him, and now he's going to be going to the Mets, who notoriously don't win. Ironic coming from a Twins/Rays fan, huh? But seriously, you know, this is not known news, and I'm not trying to hate it all when I, you know, speak of this, but the Mets have been having good off seasons. They got Lindor last year, and it didn't exactly result into wins. And I know he didn't play like a lot of Mets fans expected him to, but the fact is they still couldn't beat out an 88-win Braves team who didn't have Acuna. Yes, they won the championship, but they only won 88 games. And the Mets were still significantly far behind the Braves. It wasn't very close come to the latter end. So $43 million, 3 years. Is this an overpay? If it was the Nationals, yes. But if you're a team like the New York Mets, who are in a prime position to win, obviously they would have been, even without signing like a Starling Marte. If you sign Scherzer with the roster they have, and guys like Jeff McNeil and Dominic Smith get their head out of their ass, you know, they're clearly a team that's going to come at the National League East, especially when Acuna is going to miss half the year, although that wasn't a huge deal when it came to 2021. The Braves were still quite good without him. It is a great deal for the Mets for sure. It is a lot of money locking him into one player that is, I think, $7 million AAV higher than Garrett Cole, which set the record last year, or 2 years prior rather. But love it. If you want to win, you're going to have to make signings like this. Scherzer going to the Big Apple. So I was at the gym yesterday. Who would have thought, when I saw this notification, that Marcus Semien would have been second piece news, second rate information for this video. He is going to the Texas Rangers, which is a surprise for the player, but not a surprise for a deal of this magnitude for the Rangers. I expected them to go after a guy like Trevor Story, who it seems like they're still quite interested in him. Corey Seager and Trevor Story still have lots of rumors going to Texas after spending a lot of money here for Marcus Semien. 7 years, 175. No doubt this is a risky move. However, when you look at the statistics, 7.3 WAR on the year for Marcus Semien. He finished third in MVP voting, like Max Scherzer finishing third in Cy Young. He hit 45 home runs in Toronto. and Florida and Buffalo. So that is one thing to note. Again, this is just the fact. Those two ballparks that they started the season in, Florida and later Buffalo, are very, very hitter-friendly. Now, is that the reason why Marcus Semien ended up with the 133 OPS plus? Absolutely not. He was still great. And if you look at his 2019 numbers, he had a 139 OPS plus in Oakland. But that is just something to keep in mind. But the OPS plus does reflect that, of course. The 45 home runs, is he going to hit that next year? Maybe not. We'll have to see in Texas. But this is a slam dunk of a signing. Talk about Mr. Reliable. Played all games in 2019 and 2021. And across those two seasons, he had a 8.4 and a 7.3 WAR respectively. You're getting a fantastic defender who can play either second base or shortstop at an elite caliber, and a great hitter. The only thing you would like to see a little bit better from him was on base, 334 in 2021, opposed to a lot more desirable 369, if you will, in 2019. So this is a risky deal, like I said, 7 years, $175 million for a guy that is 31 years of age and has only had 2 really good standout seasons. Otherwise, he's been an average to slightly above average player the rest of his MLB tenure. But again, the Rangers, who are in a prime position to win now, to spend money, I guess I would say, because they have a new ballpark. And as I mentioned in a previous video, yes, it was sure a rockin' when they were the only team in the league that had full capacity to begin the COVID season. Inevitably, it dwindled down to like 20K towards the latter half of the year when they weren't competing. So if you want to have usefulness out of that new stadium that you built there, you're going to want to have players for people to actually want to go check out. And no doubt Marcus Semien is that. And I'm very curious to see what happens the rest of the offseason going forward with the Texas Rangers and how aggressive they are going to be in signing. Byron Buxton, third-rate news today, wouldn't you know it, is signing a huge extension, although not with money. 9 years, or rather 7 years, for $100 million, 9 figures, and very big MVP bonuses, which doesn't come as too much of a surprise for Byron Buxton after having the year that he did in 2021. However, it was shortened. There is no secret Byron Buxton has an issue with availability. Some might argue that's the best ability. Buxton last year had a 4.5 WAR across just 61 games, which is ludicrous. It is crazy to imagine that in a 162-game season, he would have around a 10 WAR. That just goes to show how valuable of a guy this is, that you can't afford to not have this deal, that you can't afford to not take this risk. And like I said, $100 million for 7 years? That's still quite cheap. Even if he were to stay at the same rate, you can only get him to play 100 games a year, which, crossing my fingers, knocking on my artificial IKEA wood desk, that's not the case. But Buxton, 1,005 OPS last year, 171 OPS plus, hit 19 home runs in 254 plate appearances, and finally started to walk a little bit. Not at an elite level at all, but 5.1% is, better than 1.5% in 2020. And a great defender at center field. He's going to be 28 next year. I love it. As a Twins fan, even if just a baseball fan, I love that the Twins are not just lying down and dying after a disappointing season. They're showing that they're still in this, and the best way is to go after Byron Buxton, even though he can prove to be a risky candidate. Kevin Gausman also has made a deal, that with the Toronto Blue Jays. That's going to be for 5 years, $110 million. Now, the Blue Jays, of course, had Robbie Ray be their standout pitcher last year, who is a free agent this year. We're going to have to see where he ends up. There's still rumors that would lead you to believe that he could be back in a Blue Jays uniform, but if not, Kevin Gausman is a very good guy to get, no doubt. Gausman, who, funny enough, was a waiver guy. I believe the Giants claimed him back in 2020. Had a really good year in the shortened season and was an all-star and really helped propel them to their postseason prominence last year. Of course, couldn't quite get it done against Los Angeles, but Gausman, a 5.4 WAR guy, finished 6th in the Cy Young voting, was an all-star, as I mentioned, 2.81 ERA, 3 FIP, so he was just a really good pitcher, 227 strikeouts, and he is coming into his age 31-year season. And again, this contract, I like it. $110 million for 5 years, that's by no means cheap, but it is what the going rate is for all-star caliber pitchers, or all-star pitchers rather, like Kevin Gausman. And that's just the fact of the nature. For a lot of these guys, which you might say, oh, overpay, or oh, you'll find some breakout guy that you'll pay $7 million, kind of like Robbie Ray was last year, or Marcus Semien. 1-year flyers on guys, but if you want something dependable, Kevin Gausman is that. He's really transformed as a pitcher, and I have no worries really that he's going to implode in Toronto next year. So that's a great signing for a team that struggled finding consistent starters, with guys like Hyun-Jin Ryu really deteriorating last year and was not so reliable, not so dependable last year. Avisail Garcia, he also signed a lot of signings, as you see. He signed with the Marlins. 4 years, $53 million. Now, there's word the Marlins are a bit disappointing that Starling Marte, who the Marlins were supposedly the runner-up if he didn't go to the Mets. That was his second choice, and they were said to be in on Castellanos. However, I'm not sure how much Castellanos is in on the Miami Marlins. Yes, I'm aware he's from that area, but still, it is the Miami Marlins on second thought. Garcia, 2.9 WAR player last year, 117 OPS plus, 29 home runs for the Brewers in 2021, and he was a positive defender, 0.3 D-WAR, so just slightly above that average note, but he did have 8 defensive runs saved, so he proved to be pretty good in that spot, primarily in right field. Played all but one of his games there last year for the Brewers, and this is a good signing. The Marlins are starting to get that young core. They also extended Sandy Alcantara, so they have a young crop of pitchers, him, Trevor Rogers, Pablo Lopez, who all 3 of those guys are allegedly going to the Yankees any day now, for one of Luke Voit and Miguel Andujar, but that's probably not going to happen. I like it. Their team's young, and they're going to have to eventually get these bigger name guys in there to fill the holes, fill the gaps. Having Jazz Chisholm coming up, and I like the team. The Marlins are probably not going to win the division or anything next year, but certainly a good step. A couple more things to talk about right here. The Rangers also made another signing for Jon Gray, $56 million over 4 years, which this one, again, just proves the Rangers are going to be aggressive this offseason. That's a pretty good chunk of money. About $60 million, 4 years in total. Jon Gray going to the desert, and I like it. The Rangers didn't have super consistent pitching. Kyle Gibson, who they did have, they traded him to the Phillies, of course, for prospects at the deadline, so he's going to help out. Couple other deals. Corey Kluber went to the Rays, 1 year, $8 million. That was interesting. Michael Lorenzen, if there's any place for a two-way player to go, is like the Angels. When you saw a guy like Ohtani not only be a two-way player, but do it consistently, do it reliably. I think he had 130 innings and then a full season hitting, so he really shouldered both. Lorenzen is more of a reliever, of course, but it's going to be an interesting ordeal to have him in Los Angeles. There was a couple other signings as well, but those are the most notable, or the most that we had time for today. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. A lot of deals wheeling and dealing happening. The Mets are not stopping. They're going full throttle, nuts to butts, trying to contend this year. And, Javier Baez, there's still a chance that they could sign him. That's the thing. The Mets are already over the luxury tax, so why not go all in at this point and just sign everybody? As I tweeted last night, it really sucks to be a fan of a small market team like the Rays, or even to the Twins to an extent, or they just more so play poor, like an act. That's a role they're shouldering, like, oh, here, look at my tin cup, as we beg and, end up signing, I don't know, J-Hap, which they did do the other year, but, it sucks to not really be a part of this, and, You just have to look from the outside in, like the Squidward meme, looking at SpongeBob and Patrick. Like a Rays fan, looking at Mets and, I don't know, Blue Jays fans having fun. The Yankees are in with us, though, unfortunately. They're Squidward. They haven't done too much actively on the free agency market yet either. But leave a like if you guys enjoy. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Thank you all for watching.